Close your eyes for a moment. Imagine you're standing in front of a mirror. You're frowning, maybe frustrated, maybe tired, and you say to the mirror, "Smile at me first, then I'll smile back." Sounds silly, right? The mirror can only give you what you're already showing. That's exactly how the universe works. Most of us were taught to chase our dreams as if they were somewhere far away, to hustle harder, visualize more, repeat affirmations until our throats are sore. I know, because for years, I did it too. I made vision boards. I read every self-help book I could find. I kept telling myself, stay positive, think big, keep pushing. But the truth? I was exhausted, and nothing changed. Why? Because I was trying to rearrange my outer world while my inner world stayed exactly the same. In the language of physics, my frequency never shifted. And in quantum manifestation, that's like expecting a mirror to reflect a new image without changing the one standing in front of it. Here's the reality most people never hear. The universe doesn't respond to what you want. It responds to what you are. Your current identity, the you wake up as every morning is quietly shaping the reality you keep living. Not your goals, not your affirmations, but your state of being. In the quantum field, every possible version of your life already exists. The abundant you, the joyful you, the confident you. They're all real, all coexisting as possibilities. The moment you emotionally and energetically become that version of yourself, the field reorganizes to match it. That's not magic, that's physics. But here's the trap. Most people try to force change from the outside. They wait for the paycheck before they feel abundant. They wait for the relationship before they feel loved. They wait for the evidence before they believe. And in doing so, they stay locked in the same energetic loop that created their current life. You don't attract what you want, you attract what you are. And when you finally understand that your emotions, thoughts, and energy are not a reaction to your life, but the cause of it, you unlock the ability to shift timelines and collapse possibilities in your favor. When I first began teaching this, I would ask my students to run a simple experiment. For 1 week, start your mornings by feeling gratitude for something that hasn't happened yet, but feel it as if it already has. See how it changes your mood, your decisions, and even the small coincidences in your day. Inevitably, by the end of the week, they'd report unexpected opportunities, surprise messages, or solutions to problems they'd been stuck on for months. The shift wasn't in the outer world first. It began inside them. This is where our journey begins. Not in chasing, but in becoming. Not in forcing, but in aligning. Because the mirror your reality can only reflect the frequency you are already embodying. Let's take a quiet breath together. Inhale and feel the weight of this moment. Exhale and let it go. Now, picture this. You're sitting in a small cafe on a rainy afternoon. The smell of coffee fills the air. A stranger walks in and you instantly notice them. Not because of how they look, but because of how they feel. There's something grounded about them. They aren't fidgeting. They aren't scanning the room for approval. They're fully present, as if they belong in every moment they step into. That's emotional coherence. That's the energy the quantum field responds to. It's not about how loudly you declare your dreams. It's about how steadily you become the version of you who already lives them. Science backs this up. Your brain and body can't tell the difference between a vividly imagined experience and a real one. If you feel gratitude for a future event as if it's already happened, you begin creating new neural pathways and releasing the chemistry of that future into your body. In other words, you become a vibrational match for what you're calling in. But here's where most people get it wrong. They wait for the world to change before they change how they feel. I've worked with clients who told me, I'll feel abundant when I make 6 figures, or I'll feel loved when I meet the right person. And I always ask them the same question. If your future self walked into the room right now, the one who already has everything you're dreaming of, how would they carry themselves? How would they speak? How would they wake up in the morning? Because that's the blueprint, and that's where the work begins. Neville Goddard called this living in the end. He taught that you must mentally and emotionally dwell in the state of the wish fulfilled, not as a daydream, but as a faithful embodiment. Joe Dispenza describes it as installing the neurological hardware of a new identity. Abraham Hicks puts it simply, you have to feel it before you see it. And here's my favorite part. When you truly commit to this, the shift isn't always loud. Sometimes it's as quiet as choosing calm over panic in the middle of a problem. Sometimes it's walking into a room and realizing you no longer need to prove yourself. Sometimes it's laughing on a Tuesday for no reason, because you've stopped waiting for permission to feel good. Let me share something from my own life. Years ago, before I ever stepped into teaching this work, I was stuck in a loop of almost there. Almost enough money, almost the right relationship, almost the freedom I wanted. I was obsessed with fixing my life. Then, one day, while journaling, a question landed in my mind. What if nothing is missing? That single question shifted everything. I began living as though my dreams were already here, not pretending, but choosing to feel the security, the love, the excitement I thought I could only have later. I carried myself differently. I made decisions differently. And within months, the opportunities I'd been chasing for years began showing up effortlessly. This isn't luck. This is coherence. Your thoughts send the signal out. Your emotions draw the experience in. When your heart is open in gratitude and your mind is focused with intention, your electromagnetic signature becomes stronger, clearer, and easier for the field to respond to. You stop sending mixed messages. You stop asking for one thing while feeling the opposite. And life begins to line up not because you manipulated it, but because you matched it. This is the quiet secret of manifestation. You must become emotionally fluent in the reality you're calling in. Celebrate before the evidence appears. Trust your intuition, even when logic argues. Feel the feelings of your future self every single day until they're no longer extraordinary, they're normal. Because when that happens, your nervous system stops resisting, your identity shifts, and the quantum field, like a perfectly honest mirror, reflects your new state of being. Imagine your life as a movie playing on a giant screen. You've been watching the same storyline for years, same characters, same conflicts, same endings. Sometimes there are small changes, but the main plot, it's familiar, almost predictable. Now imagine someone quietly handing you a remote and whispering, you can change the channel anytime you want. That's what collapsing timelines feels like. In quantum physics, all possibilities already exist, every choice, every path, every version of you. But here's the catch. The moment you emotionally attach to one version, you collapse it into reality. You lock in that channel. Most people do this without even realizing it. They wake up thinking, it's always been this way. It never works out for me. And in that moment, they aren't just making a statement, they're reinforcing the same version of life they've been living. Day after day, they keep tuning in to the old channel. I used to do this myself. Years ago, I had a business idea I loved, but every time I thought about launching it, my mind replayed all my past failures like a highlight reel. And without realizing it, I was making decisions from that old storyline. No wonder I stayed stuck. I was collapsing the same almost success timeline over and over again. Here's the shift. When you stop observing life through the lens of your past, you open the door to entirely new outcomes. I had a client, a single mom named Sarah, who came to me saying, I just want to break the cycle. Every time I save a little money, something happens, the car breaks down, the kids need something, and I'm back to zero. She believed she was cursed with bad luck. But when we dug deeper, we found that every time she started doing well, she felt anxious. That anxiety came from childhood, when she'd been taught that good things never lasted. So she would subconsciously make decisions that brought her back to the struggle she knew so well because her nervous system felt safe in the familiar, even if it wasn't what she wanted. The moment she began practicing gratitude for stability before it showed up, her behavior shifted. She stopped making fear-based choices. She started holding on to her progress. And slowly, the bad luck disappeared. She wasn't cursed. She was collapsing a new timeline. Here's the beautiful thing about the quantum field. It doesn't require you to deserve your new reality. It only requires alignment. This means you can choose in any moment to stop reinforcing the past and start broadcasting the frequency of who you're becoming. You can speak, act, and feel as if the new version of you is already here. And yes, your mind will resist. It will tell you, but there's no proof yet. What if it doesn't work? What if you fail again? That's not the truth. That's just the echo of your old timeline, trying to keep you in familiar territory. When you ignore that echo and stay in coherence with your chosen reality, something magical happens. People, opportunities, and synchronicities begin appearing not because you chased them, but because you became the version of yourself who naturally attracts them. Einstein once said, "The field is the sole governing agency of the particle." In other words, the invisible, your energy, your focus, your emotional state, shapes the visible. So here's the question I ask my students, and I'll ask you now. When no one's watching, when you're alone with your thoughts, who are you being? Because that, more than any vision board or affirmation, is the frequency the universe is responding to. There's a quiet moment when your mind stops chasing and your heart simply knows. No proving, no begging, no checking for signs. Just a steady sense that what you desire is already yours. This is the silent frequency, not loud, not desperate, but magnetic. It's the energy of someone who belongs in the life they dream of. You've met people like this. Calm, present, unshaken. They draw you in without trying. When you reach this state, the universe doesn't respond to your words, it responds to your being. Your life begins to arrange itself around your inner certainty, like water flowing around a stone. I've lived this. When I stopped forcing opportunities and began living as if they were already mine, doors opened without effort. Not because I chased them, but because I became the version of me who naturally received them. Neville Goddard called it assuming the feeling of the wish fulfilled. Abraham Hicks calls it allowing. It's not pretending, it's embodying your future so fully that it becomes your present. The quantum field mirrors you in real time. So breathe, walk, and speak as if it's already done, not someday. Now, because when you stop chasing and start becoming, everything changes.